Here we go, episode 142 of the Hardline. Michael Merlo, John Michael Masiri, here with you. Very excited for this little week 2 reaction, week 3 look ahead as we do get set for a big week in the NFL, but lots to talk about from last week. JM, a lot of overreacting to do as well. I'm very excited. And a big QB change, which I'm pretty shocked by, and I really can't wait to talk about how bad this football team and organization is, the Carolina Panthers. But before we get into all that, JM, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. When you first said the hard line, I'm still not getting used to the sports talk
I
not being
almost
included
said
when you
sports
say it.
talk.
It really is like still weird to hear. But I'm doing good, bro. It was, week two is weird because week one is obviously weird, but when you get into week two, now it's like, okay, so this happened again. So like, is this real? We're gonna
Yeah.
talk about it. We got the Vikings, right? The Ravens are 0-2. There's weird stuff going on right now. A lot of injuries this week too. So yeah, I'm excited to unravel it all.
Yeah, very excited to get to all of this. We're going to start, Joe and I, who filled in last week for JM on the earlier pod during the week, excuse me. We did the good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to stick with that. What was good, bad, and ugly from week 2. So we're going to do that a little bit shorter, though, because, this is coming out Wednesday. So we'll do a little bit shorter, but still lots to talk about from last weekend. JM, I think the biggest shock, there were 2 big shocks to me last week in terms of wins, and those shocks were the Saints and the Ravens. We'll talk about the Ravens losing to the Raiders in a minute, but the Saints winning that football game in Dallas was quite literally the biggest shock of the weekend to me, because I really thought this team was fraudulent, and I really thought there was no chance that they were going to be able to keep up that same production offensively, and then defensively stop, not a majorly high-powered offense, but still the best receiver in football, arguably, in CeeDee Lamb, and a good quarterback in Dak Prescott. I just didn't think they'd shut him down. And they did both in a dominant victory in Dallas.
Yeah, dude. I mean, listen, I was going out on a limb this offseason on my Saints hate. I'm at that point where I'm not going to be stupid. Like, I'm going to say they were wrong. I'm pretty sure I had them winning like 4 or 5 games, way off on that. One of my bold takes was Derek Carr was going to lose the starting job by
Wow.
like week 7. Derek Carr, if the season ended after 2 weeks, is probably the MVP of the league right now. So yeah, not a hot start for me with the predictions, but I'm willing to say when I'm wrong, and they look phenomenal. I mean, to go on the road there and just go up and down the field on them, it's just ridiculous. Derek Carr's throwing bombs to Shaheed. Alvin Kamara had 4 touchdowns. I was talking about Kamara when we talk about fantasy in the offseason. His offseason over or under was 4.5 for touchdowns in the 2024 season, and he just had 4 in a game. So Vegas was wrong about the Saints too. Obviously, they look
Yeah.
great. Their offense looks great. And if I'm a Cowboys fan, like, I'm sitting there watching this game, and I'm like, this is just the Green Bay game all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Our defense is just getting waxed right now. The offense is doing whatever they want, and we have no answers for it.
Yeah, it was disgusting what they did in that game. I had them. They were my 1 star. I bet them to win the game. I had them so many different ways, Dallas. And again, their last 2 home games for me, I bet them because if you remember a clip that went viral last January of you and I speaking about how we thought the Dallas Cowboys were going to crush the Green Bay Packers in the playoff game. And it's like the last 2 home games, I bet the Cowboys, they absolutely crushed me. So very funny there. But yeah, it's a disheartening performance for Dallas, and I can't wait to get to my overreaction because that has something to do with the division in the NFC East. So I'm very excited about that.
Well, maybe I got to pivot my overreaction because it has something to do with the NFC East.
Oh God!
We'll see. I love the authentic experience we're having here with not telling each other what our overreactions.
You probably
are.
should have. I think
a bit of a panic.
I think I told your brother what my overreaction.
I got
was,
a couple in the holster though. It's all right. Yeah, bro, Dallas. I mean, just look. We just said they looked horrible. Dak. I mean, I think he's gonna really start to feel the. I don't really have much weapons going on here. I got a fossil in Zeke Elliott as my running back. I got who behind him? Rico Dowdle and Dalvin Cook. He's got this. They have aging skill position players all over this offense besides Ferguson, who's hurt, and CeeDee Lamb. And it's
can
really
I ask this?
It's gonna hurt them.
Can I ask this? And it's a one-off possibly game last week, right? With Ferguson not playing, but and he might play this week. But like, what's different offensively, other than I guess Pollard, than last season? And they were good offensively last season. Like, what
Yeah.
is the big
Yeah.
difference here?
Well,
That's the question I would ask.
It's not a bad point. Obviously, Gallup is gone too, but does Gallup really move the needle
No.
there? Like, what's the difference between a Gallup and a Jalen Tolbert or,
Who
somebody like
played
that?
well
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
Sunday a little bit.
So, you got a fair point. Obviously, the big thing we're not talking about either is Tyron Smith leaving in the offseason. They drafted Terrence Steele to replace him. Tyron's been great for the Jets in the first 2 games of the year. He still is an elite level player. But they've also had to play without Tyron Smith a lot over his whole career with the Cowboys. I mean, the guy hasn't played over 13 games since I think the year he was drafted. So, they've lived a life without him and they've been able to get by fine. So I don't know, bro. I mean, just Kellen Moore, the loss of him a couple years ago, maybe they still can't, but the offense was great last year. So
Right.
I don't know. Like, I can't put my finger on it, but they're going to have issues.
It seems like they are. And back to the Saints, they changed the offensive coordinator. I remember that being a topic of conversation early in the offseason. What is it? I think Clint Kubiak, Gary Kubiak's son, is now the offensive coordinator there. He came from San Francisco, I want to say, and clearly he's made a difference. A lot more of a lot more motion pre-snap, which has been big for them. I don't think they had any motion. They were saying last year they were like one of the least. They used motion the least percent, I think, out of any team in the NFL last season.
That's one of the bigger things in the NFL right now that's kind of like, okay, are we progressing in this way? Is this the philosophy that all the offenses should adopt? And then some other teams are still sticking with the traditional stuff. Like, if you look at a chart of the teams that use the most motion in the league, obviously, like, number one, Miami, they do it every freaking play. And you think Miami, you think, explosive team. But towards the bottom of the list last year was teams like Kansas City, Buffalo. Like, there are some prolific offenses that are not putting guys in motion. They're kind of just scattered along this chart. So
it's also Philly,
works,
though.
it doesn't.
Philly, though, too, had that issue. And we're going to talk about the
Yeah.
Eagles. They're not on the list. That's what I forgot. I knew I forgot to put something on there. We have to talk about the Eagles.
Mhm.
But the Eagles used no motion late in the season last year, and that really costed them because they used it so much in 22. That was a recipe for success. But good on the Saints. Maybe they figured it out. But I'm not going to buy in yet. I would still sell my stock here. I would have if I had stock. I'd never had stock in them. But if I did, I would sell it.
So to me, the Carolina game, meaningless, right? You just had LA go out there, win 26-3.
Yeah.
I think at this point, Georgia could go to Carolina and put up a good fight with them. They are that bad. But the win in Dallas is impressive. What is Dallas going to be this year, though? That's why we're still at this point right now this year, where I always say betting is the hardest in the beginning of the year because you don't know what to expect from these teams. Betting is the hardest, just trying to assess who the best teams in the NFL are. Like, you look at a week 2 power rankings, and some people are doing it based off the offseason, and, they still got the Ravens in the top 10, even though they're 0-2, because people are expecting Baltimore to be good. But if we're being for real and we're just taking this year into account, Baltimore's got to be a bottom 10 team in the league. They haven't won a game yet. Right. So we're just in that weird in-between period right now. This is a test for them, even though I think Philly's kind of trash. But this is a test for them this week playing the Eagles to really see, okay, Saints, are you legit? Can you do this 3 weeks in a row?
Yeah, I'm fascinated for that game next week. Definitely going to talk about that a lot, see the outcome of that. We'll move on here, though. The Vikings and Sam Darnold, they upset the 49ers at home this weekend in their home opener. Sam Darnold, very impressive. I think you had mentioned it, whether it was on the pod or it was in person, that Sam Darnold is the next Baker Mayfield, the next Geno Smith here. And I'm happy for Sam, and it's working. And this is it's an underrated place to play. I can't think of many teams outside of the Chiefs and 49ers that have a better situation for a quarterback to come in and step in and play than the Minnesota Vikings with Kevin O'Connell, really good weapons, and 2 good offensive tackles, and the rest of the line being good. Like, it seems like the perfect place to play if you're a quarterback. And good for Sam Darnold here. Hopefully he makes something of this because it's going to be an exciting run, I think, the rest of the year.
Honestly, Mer, like I don't hate that take because when we think about this Vikings offense going into the season, it was like, okay, there's really good pieces all around, but we still don't expect much because Kirk Cousins is gone. And what are we supposed to expect out of Sam Darnold and all of that? But once we see, oh crap, Sam Darnold could actually throw it and he's playing pretty well within the system, all of a sudden this offense is like, wow, they got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones is still a high level player in this league. TJ Hawkinson hasn't even played a snap yet. He'll be back at some point this season. And they got a good offensive line and a great head coach and play caller. So all of a sudden, this becomes a very, very good offense. So I don't hate that take to say that, it's one of the best situations to be in. Looking at the Jets schedule coming into the year, I was like, oh, okay. After San Francisco, you got 4 games in a row there that you could easily go 4-1 in. Now all of a sudden, that game week 6 against the Vikings in London,
Tough game.
that's gonna be it's a tough game. That's what happens, man. That's what happens in the NFL. Teams are surprises, and all of a sudden schedules look harder, schedules look easier. That's gonna be a tough game, and I think the Vikings really need to be respected, and that is a huge win for them. Anytime you beat San Francisco, no matter where the game is played or what the situation is, it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal. The defense playing well. I saw this video of Purdy going up to Brian Flores after the game. He had said, "Your scheme is crazy, man."
Yeah.
I got him on a hot mic there. So Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator, doing a good job with the pieces that he has there. This is a good team that, again, I'm like kicking myself. Like, hey, why didn't I see this
Yeah.
coming here? Especially offensively, knowing how good of a coach Kevin O'Connell is. Like, why didn't I see this coming? And having the Bears in the postseason who can't
Right.
score an offensive
Right.
touchdown, and I didn't put the Vikings in.
Right, but this is what we say. Like when we talked a couple weeks ago, going in the NFL preview show, and I was like, there's some quarterbacks where, they're just good no matter where you put them. There's some that are in that in between tier where they could be bad in bad situations and good in good situations, and then you just have your quarterbacks that suck, right? Sam Darnold, you got the feeling watching him with the Jets, like you saw the flashes and like he's got poise and he's got a good arm and he was accurate, but he would just have his meltdowns and nobody thought Adam Gase knew what the hell he was doing. And then he becomes a journeyman. Sam Darnold is one of those guys, just like a Geno Smith and just like a Baker Mayfield, where if you put him in a good situation, he can be a good quarterback.
And
Go ahead.
there are some guys that are lost, and I understand what you're
Right.
saying. Like Zach Wilson, no matter what, I don't think
Zach
would
Wilson's
work.
lost. We'll
Like,
talk about it in a little bit. I think Bryce Young is one of those guys. I think no matter where you put him, I think he's lost too.
interesting. So, like,
Yeah.
those are one of those guys where it's like, I always said that about Darnold and the Giants. Not that it would have worked with the Giants, but that season when the Giants drafted Barkley, I wanted Darnold. Like, Darnold was my guy in that draft, and I had just, you couldn't say, oh, well, he was a bust with the Jets. He would have been a bust with the Giants. Not
Right.
the Giants had the greatest coaching staff in the world then, but,
Right.
Pat Schumer, had Daniel Jones have one of his best years of his career in his rookie year. Who
Mhm.
knows what would have happened? You know what I mean? You don't know.
You
So,
don't know.
yeah, it's very interesting and good on them. And this is a good team that absolutely can make the playoffs. That are in first place. Obviously, you have the injury to Jordan Love right now. We don't know when he's going to come back. The Lions, interesting with the Lions losing that game. So, who the hell knows? But they can make the playoffs for sure. They're good enough. Let's go to the bad here, JM. That was the good. This is the bad. The Ravens, they're upset at home by the Raiders, one of the more shocking losses of the year thus far. I'll just ask this point blank. Are they in trouble at 0-2?
Yes, they are in trouble. Some of the problems that we talked about coming into the year seem like they're coming to light, right? Where we talked about the Ravens had a lot of things go right for them last year. They had a little bit of luck mixed in there, right? Injury luck was good. Some guys had real good career years. They got 10 sacks out of Jadeveon Clowney. They lose Morgan Moses in the offseason. They lose John Simpson. They didn't really replace those guys. And, you said, and it's a fair point to be like, I trust Harbaugh to be able to replace these guys in this system and be able to find the talent and be able to get by, right? So far, Derrick Henry's been a disappointment. The offense has been stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. It hasn't been able to get into a rhythm. And really, like you have Mark Andrews out here, like barely being able to put up more than 40 yards. You have Zay Flowers. It seems like they're over giving him the ball, just trying to be like, okay, why don't you do something with it? We don't have anybody else on the outside that can catch. They're playing Isaiah Likely. They got, 12 personnel constantly. They're having Isaiah Likely be a slot receiver. It seems like they're missing weapons, and that this offense is just not going to be one of those dynamic Baltimore offenses that we've seen once in a while over the past 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, it's definitely concerned with the way they're playing. But then when I look at the division and what's going to happen here, the Bengals' schedule is a little light here. The Bengals are going to win some games. We'll talk about the Bengals in that game because that was fascinating in a little bit. The Bengals are going to win some games here. I trust the Ravens will figure this thing out. But and the fact that I think the Steelers are 2-0 right now and the Browns haven't really done much, and you have the Bengals at 0-2 as well. It's kind of like the perfect scenario for the Ravens here. Like if you're going to start out 0-2, exactly what you've needed to happen for the most part has happened, where the Steelers are the ones in first place and at 2-0 and not the Bengals. So I think they'll be fine. But like we mentioned before the year, and I was slightly higher at the end of the offseason there on them than you were, I still think they'll be fine. I still think they'll make the playoffs, but this isn't a dominant team, and this is not a team going on a run in the postseason. This is not going to be the season where they shock people and actually get over that final hump against, a Buffalo Bills team or a Kansas City Chiefs team. This is not going to be that season.
Right. Well, it seems like it's going to be one of those years where in the AFC where, okay, some of the familiar faces that we're seeing to be the biggest challenge to the Chiefs, they're not there. Who's going to step up? And that's where we talk about Houston, or we talk about Buffalo, or we talk about the Jets, or we could even, we could credit, are the Bengals going to be coming back? They just played Kansas City really close. Who knows what the Chargers could be now? The Chargers are off to a 2-0 start. They're about to play Pittsburgh in a battle of 2-0 teams. One of those teams is coming out 3-0. So we'll see, Mike. I mean, there's a ton to be seen here in the AFC. There's still a ton of season left, obviously, but you don't know until you start playing. And some of these teams look a lot better than the others. And I really don't like the way Baltimore looks right now. And that's a bad loss at home against a Raiders team where, Brock Bowers is a really special talent. You can't be giving up 9 for 98 to a rookie tight end in his second game and first career road game. Like, you can't be doing that.
Yeah, no, that's not a good. Let's talk about the Raiders. They deserve some credit here.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams had a huge second half in that game. Bowers was great all game. Gardner Minshew figured it out towards the end there. That's a big gutsy win for a guy that, by the way, JM, we didn't get to talk about this. Did you see Antonio Pierce made one of like the worst in week 1? We'll go back to week 1 to get some AP hate in here. Did you see that he made like one of the worst statistical non-go-fors in like league history last week? Did you see that?
No, I saw it, but what is the stat? Like,
I don't know exactly the stat. I remember like what it was. It was like 4th and 3 on the Charger side of the field. They were down, I think, a score, and he punted it.
He wanted to play the field position game. Yeah,
and I think your brother told me that they got him on camera looking at one of his assistant coaches saying, was I supposed to go for that?
Oh boy.
Not a good look over there, but he saved.
Come on, my guy.
Saves himself big time with a big win in Baltimore. Good on them, and we'll see. I think I hate to do this. I love the Panthers this week against the Raiders.
Honestly, I don't hate the play. Like I think
I couldn't love
Andy
it more.
Dalton is still one of the better backups in the league, and I actually think Canales is going to love having Dalton as his quarterback.
Their offensive line hasn't been bad. We're going to talk about that. We're really going to get into the Panthers in a little bit. Yeah. Let's keep going here with the bad. The Jags at home as favorites. They lose to the Browns. The Jaguars and Everbank, the brand Everbank.
They try to call it Trevor Bank.
They called it Trevor Bank for the home opener. It looked like a crappy day in Jacksonville, and it was a crappy day for Jacksonville as they lose this game, and it wasn't a pretty showing at all.
No, not pretty at all. And unfortunately, Trevor Lawrence now is back in the territory of, is this a one-year wonder in his sophomore year that we saw? And is Trevor Lawrence just going to be a mid-level quarterback for his entire career? I mean, he got a big extension this offseason. Seemed like an overpay, but the Jaguars kind of had their hands tied and had to make a decision. And now, what is it? He's 0-7 in his last 7 starts or something like that. Like,
yeah.
he's not winning football games. And this Jaguars offense doesn't really have any excuses. Like, they're supposed to be a dynamic offense. Sure, if you want to talk to me, maybe the offensive line could be playing better, but there are weapons all around here. Brian Thomas seems like he's going to be a stud through 2 weeks. He's making dynamic plays all around the field. You got Travis Etienne. You got Evan Ingram, who was hurt last week with a weird-ass injury in pregame warmups.
Yeah, he hurt the hamstring.
Bizarre. But, you got Gabe Davis. You got Christian Kirk. Like, there are no excuses for this offense outside of the offensive line. And Trevor Lawrence, you can't complete 14 out of 30 throws at home in the home opener, dude.
No.
You can't win football games that way.
Definitely a concern there. You talked about the defense before the year and how you thought they would be good. And I don't think you were wrong about that. Like, the defense has played well. What did they hold Miami to week 1? Not many points. They scored 20 points.
20, I think. Yeah, I think 2017 was the final score.
18 here. Like, the defense is playing well. They're doing their job. It's strictly on the offense. Doug Peterson, man. I mean, he's going to have his name on the hot list here, on the hot seat.
Yeah.
Because you're 0-2. Your defense is doing their job. You should be 2-0 here. I mean, you should be 2-0, and we should be talking about you at the very least 1-1. Right? Yeah. They should have won the game against Miami. At the very least 1-1. Like, we should be talking about you as one of the top teams for this AFC wildcard spot, possibly the division in the South. And yet now we're sitting here questioning whether or not the quarterback you just gave over $200 million to is the real deal. And if you have enough weapons, and if Doug Peterson can still coach. There are some serious issues there in Jacksonville that they have to figure out ASAP.
Yeah. And the defense played well enough. The defense, like you said, they did a great job week 1 against Miami. They did another good job. They gave up 18 points, 2 of which were from a safety. So they did their job, the defense. It's all on the offense, man. And Jacksonville's had a problem last year and now this year where they can't close games. I mean, they were down in this game going into halftime. They had to try to claw their way back. But last week against Miami was a disgrace to give up that game like that. Yep. And it plagued them all of last season. And when you're 2 games in here and you're just seeing the same patterns from the year before, how could you, in that locker room and as a fan and as anything else, look at this team and be like, uh-oh, is this going to happen all over again?
Yeah, they have some things to figure out there in Jacksonville. Not ideal. See what happens there. You were high on them, your boys, and I hate to break it to you. Both our AFC South predictions not looking too good.
Yeah,
not.
I mean, we'll see.
Not looking good.
The biggest thing with the Texans actually is their pass rush looks great. Which, I mean,
he is
Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter, but
I think I don't know if this is a bold take or not. I think by the end of this season, Stroud is going to be the third, like undoubtedly the third best quarterback in the league.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a hot take.
Another thing about them, though, and I don't know if it's just because they have such great weapons now, or Stroud's so great, or it's the scheme, or it's everything. But I'm going to mainly talk about the scheme. They're running plays here, and it's almost reminding me of Detroit's offense. Like, play action, CJ Stroud's got time to throw, and then he's just hitting like a 20-yard in route to Nico Collins, and it looks like Jared Goff to Amon-Ra St. Brown, like one of those offenses. It's very fluid. It's very in sync. He has time to throw, and it's like when he's throwing to these receivers, they're wide open. So,
and then he looks like the backyard magic, like Mahomes can a little bit, throwing on the run as he rolls out to his right, rolls out to his left. He's just He's remarkable.
Well,
and they didn't play that well against the Bears. The Bears defense did a good job. And
that is, if I was the Houston Texans, and I think they're doing this so far and they're doing a good job at it, I would treat CJ Stroud the same way Aaron Rodgers for those couple, MVP years in Green Bay towards the end of his stint in Green Bay. I would treat him the same exact way. I would, I would try to be a run first team, because that's the way the NFL is going too right now. I would try to be a run first team, play off of the play action, let Stroud play within structure, and then when he needs to be CJ Stroud, just like how Aaron Rodgers needs to be Aaron Rodgers and make crazy throws and on the run and improvise and do this and that, then go let him do his thing. And I think if they do that, then this offense is going to be terrifying.
Who did you have the Texans -6.5 this week?
So I actually wanted to call you about this today because I was pissed. So I took the Texans, I believe it was -6.5 on the gambling show. Now, come Sunday, it was time to put my picks in. So I put a unit on the Texans spread straight up, and it hit because FanDuel moved the line of -5.5.
It went down to 5.5. Oh, so you didn't hit it. It was
So
6.
so I was like, hell yeah. Like I won
Oh!
money on it. I was like, let's go. Like also my start, because my 3-star didn't hit. I'm 0 for 2 on my 3-star so far. I'm like,
Yeah.
crap. Because I'm like, this is, I'm not surprised. I was 13-5 last year. I was due for a little regression here. But I'm like, all right, it's okay. My 2-star and my 1-star hit. And then today, driving home, I'm like, wait a minute. Weren't the Texans 6.5 before Sunday? I'm like, son of a bitch, they were. So yeah, I didn't hit it on the show, but I still made money because
You
they
know what's
changed the
funny?
line.
When did you bet it?
Sunday morning.
Because it went, it's funny. It was 5.5 most of the day, and I think right before the game, it went back up to 6.5. I think.
Well, I hope if anybody tailed my picks that they did it on Sunday morning like I did.
Bears, look at the Bears covering that little 6 there. All right, very interesting. Little Texans talk. I thought we had to get them in.
Yeah.
They are impressive, though. They definitely are impressive. Oh, because we're about to talk about them. That's why we're talking about the Texans.
Yep.
Because the Bears played no offense in this game. Caleb Williams looks terrible. And it's a little frightening as somebody that picked them to make the playoffs. As I mentioned before, I'm really kicking myself not having the Vikes in there. But I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned. But I am. The one thing I guess I am concerned about is the coaching. That's the one thing I have like slight concern with. That I never believed in Eberflus, and I was hit or miss on Waldron. I thought he's done a couple of good things, but
A little shaky on the sideline. See that video?
yeah, that was crazy too.
That was kind of crazy. It's like, bro,
But
you
then
all right?
like some of these play calls, like they're not letting him be him. Like they're being very conservative with the way they allow him to throw the football, and it's a lot of runs and short passes. Not that I want to see him run and try and get out of sacks, but like I'd like to see him push the ball downfield a little bit. And they don't. It doesn't seem like they're letting him do that.
I agree. I mean, anytime your running back is 14 for 18, I mean, you're kind of stuck with, especially with a rookie quarterback making his road primetime debut. So that was a problem. And obviously it's against a very good Texans defense, but I totally agree. They're not letting him push the ball down the field. I'm not worried about that play on the side. Everybody's overreacting on Twitter and everything. Like, oh, what a terrible play when Caleb Williams evaded the sack, rolled out to his right on the run, and threw that pick in like double coverage. Rookies are going to do that. Rookies do that all the time. Okay. This is going to take time. Even if it takes the entire season and Caleb Williams doesn't have a great year, you don't want him to have a Bryce Young year. Then you're going to be like, uh-oh. But this kid's going to be fine. He's going to learn from his mistakes. He's an improviser. That's what he's going to do. He's going to instead next time throw that ball away. He'll throw it, whatever. He'll scramble. He'll do whatever. That's not what I'm worried about. But yeah, I completely agree with your take. Coaching, let this kid air it out a little bit, push the ball down the field, because that's the thing that drives me crazy with these offensive coordinators. And the Jets did it to me Monday night in their debut against the 49ers. When you try to establish the run, and it's obvious that you're going to try to establish the run, you're not going to establish the run. So when you put Caleb Williams on primetime and it's like, oh, shocker, Texans, we're going to try to establish the run here so we could then open up the passing game for our rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
D'Amico Ryans and the Texans and whoever the hell their defensive coordinator is, they're like, no, we know you're going to want to do that. So we're going to stop the run and we're going to make your guy throw it. And then things like that happen. The Texans blitzed like 50% of his dropbacks. That's insane. They adopted the Bill Belichick used to do it all the time. Remember, the best bet you could do was Bill Belichick against a rookie quarterback.
Yep.
Or Jets quarterback, but a rookie quarterback. Like it was the easiest bet you could do because you knew Belichick was going to pressure the crap out of your quarterback. He was going to make him get rid of the ball quick, make those instantaneous decisions. And a lot of times these rookie quarterbacks get flustered and then bad things happen. Texans did the same exact thing. They got ties to New England. We know about Nick Caserio. They got ties over there. So they adopted the Belichick philosophy and it worked for them. But I'm not too concerned about Caleb still.
Yeah, coaching, yes, maybe not Caleb. He's still going to be fine. He's still going to be electric. But I think it also shows how impressive CJ Stroud was last season, like
Mhm.
possibly the greatest, season from a rookie quarterback of all
Yeah.
time. And it's like, well, can Caleb do that? Can Caleb not, I guess, surpass that, but match it or come close to it? And I think through 2 weeks, I think it's pretty clear he's not going to be able to do that. He's not going to be able to have the same season or even close to the same season as Stroud did in his rookie year. So give credit to Stroud. He's unbelievable. And we'll move off of that and we'll go to the ugly. We'll start quick before we really get in depth with the Panthers. The Colts lose to Malik Willis in Green Bay. This was I said this on the gambling show that I was going to sprinkle a little Packers there with the spread, and I didn't, unfortunately, even though I liked it. I had them in a parlay and it lost anyway. But they were very impressive running the football. We had mentioned that the Colts just got ran all over in week 1. Expected the same thing from Jacobs and Willis in week 2. That's exactly what happened. But Richardson not great in the game either, and I think that's where the concern is right now. It's this offense for the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, there's a big concern with this offense. I mean, honestly, I think the number one concern is this run defense, especially now DeForest Buckner is on IR. But I mean, the Texans laid out the script for how to beat this team in week 1 when Joe Mixon took 30 carries for 160 yards and they ran all over them. There was nothing they could do. They're loading the box. Malik Willis, I mean, you knew the guy himself. You have a backup quarterback, so you're not going to pass a lot. And you have Malik Willis, who's a running quarterback, so you're not going to pass, especially with that. And they still were not able to stop it. I mean, Josh Jacobs looked like he was going to break the single game rushing record in the first quarter. It was unbelievable. He goes 32 for 151. Malik Willis 6 for 41. He only had to throw the ball 14 times. I mean,
Yeah.
really, really bad and concerning about the Colts. I mean, if a team knows if they know that other team's going to run the ball and they still can't stop it, oh boy, do you have problems. And yeah, you touched on Anthony Richardson. I mean, the concern here is, okay, maybe a guy throws a couple picks. All right, still makes some nice plays, uses his legs, whatever. You get over it. These were not like dumb decision interceptions, though. These were like bad throws, like
Yeah.
just straight up inaccurate. And that's a concern with Richardson. He's one of those guys where super athletic, big arm, right? Can make the plays that not a lot of quarterbacks can't make. But at the end of the day, to be a successful quarterback in the NFL, you got to be able to play within structure, throw from the pocket, and throw with accuracy. Mike, oh boy, did he not throw with accuracy on Sunday? That pick,
Yeah.
the overthrow to the safety, bad. Both of them were terrible.
Listen, it's early for him. Again, coming
3 of
off
them,
of the
sorry,
injury.
3.
Yeah, he threw 3 picks.
Yeah.
It's early.
Down there.
I wanna say that Steichen is gonna like sit him down and say, "Hey, like we're not gonna take these deep shots." I think Steichen is gonna dumb this down even more than he probably already has for him.
Yeah.
Here, right? Like, hey, let's take what they're giving us. They ran the ball effectively. The running game was there. Taylor had a nice day.
I was just about to say, though, you got to blame Steichen for some of this because Taylor had 100 yards on only 12 carries. Like they
And I
were
don't think
able
he
to run the
played the
ball.
fourth quarter.
Anthony Richardson should not be throwing the ball 34 times when your number one running back only gets 12 carries. And I don't care if you didn't play the fourth quarter. Like going into the fourth quarter, if you're running the ball that efficiently, you should not have only 12 carries.
Yeah.
I mean, Green Bay just played old school football. They dictated the clock. They dominated everything. It was just it's an embarrassing loss for the Colts. Straight up.
It is. It is. And we'll see what they do this week. Who do they have this week?
Oh my God. They have Chicago, and they're only 1.5 point favorites against Chicago.
That's very interesting. Well,
It's
that
a
defense
very
for
strange
Chicago
line.
has done a really good job through 2
They have.
weeks here. They were
They
very
kept it close.
impressive.
They kept it close against Houston.
Kept their team in that football game for sure.
Mike, before we move off from this game, how about this? Time of possession. Green Bay Packers 40 minutes and 11 seconds. Indianapolis Colts 19 minutes and 49 seconds.
Jesus.
I mean,
yeah.
you are never going to win a football game. And credit, like we're ripping on the Colts, and to me, this is more of a concerning Colts loss than a great Packers win. But it's still a great Packers win. Like that is great job by LaFleur. Great job by the Packers offensive line. That is incredible to be able to pull that off in a game that Green Bay really needed. Like, Green Bay can lose now in Tennessee if Jordan Love doesn't play, and they could still be okay.
Right. They're going to be fine. LaFleur, great job. You mentioned it. You trust him. It was one of those games where, all right, the starting quarterback's not playing, but you know you have a good offensive line, a good running game, decent weapons on the outside with a really good offensive head coach. And you say, as long as the quarterback can make a couple of throws and run the ball, especially, you're going to have a chance to win the game.
Right.
And it was one of those spots where everybody was on Indianapolis. And I was like, that's a trap.
And
that's a trap.
yep.
Take the Packers.
And credit to LaFleur, especially because, you know, this is a Green Bay team where Malik Willis just got here a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, he said that 3 weeks ago.
They haven't had a quarterback like this in their offense in decades, maybe in their team's history. And to be able to basically create a new offense in a week with a mobile quarterback like that, really an extra running back, like no disrespect to Malik Willis, but I mean, he threw the ball 14 times. To be able to do that and run so efficiently and win a football game is crazy.
JM, more of the ugly here. That's the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina Panthers, they bench Bryce Young after a 26-3 loss to the Chargers at home. JM, there's so many questions I have for this organization. Okay, and you mentioned before how you think that Bryce Young is one of those guys that's completely destroyed. And I don't necessarily agree with that opinion, but I could see it. I don't understand the direction here, okay? Because you bring in Canales, right? And it's a completely new system after you had him last year with Frank Reich and whatever that was, and you fire Reich after 11 games, whether you think that was deserved or not, whatever. So now you have your rookie quarterback who you traded all this capital for, drafted a number 1 overall, already all this pressure. You now have him in his second year in his second offensive system, which, okay, we like Canales. We both like and trust Canales here. So you have him in this system. We know how the NFL doesn't practice anymore, really, right? I saw Mel Kiper say this. He only played 1 series in the preseason, which is absolutely asinine for a rookie.
Aaron Rodgers?
For a second-year quarterback in a brand new system, basically a rookie here after a terrible year. How does he only play 1 series? Whatever. How about this? If the kid wasn't ready to go, start Dalton.
Exactly.
Start Andy Dalton to start the year.
And
it doesn't make sense to do this now.
I don't want to hear that, oh, you know, well, how are you supposed to know until he goes out in the game? Like, you can tell, okay? If you were really and Shane, the whole Panthers coaching staff should be fired if they couldn't tell. Because if you really were going into week 1 and you were like, yo, we feel great about Bryce. He looks really good. We think he's gonna have a great second season. Like, no. They had to be like, all right, like, he doesn't look so good, but hopefully we're wrong. Hopefully once he gets into the game, he could kind of feel it. That's how I had to imagine they were thinking. But listen, I'm going to bring this up, not to toot my own horn, but because I think they should have done this. I said in this past offseason, I said, my bold take was, if I'm the Carolina Panthers, I would shop Bryce Young and just try to restart, because I'm not a big believer in Bryce Young. This trade that they did was at the time like, wow, they gave up that much for their number 1 overall pick. And wow, is it still that way? I mean, you give up DJ Moore, your first round pick that turns into the number 1 pick of next year with a much better quarterback prospect. And now still this year, they're not going to have their own second round pick, which is probably going to be the 33rd overall pick. So although Andy Dalton might sneak a couple games, don't give up hope, Mike, for the Giants getting the number 1 pick, bro. But but anyways, like, terrible trade. And yeah, I just think I think he's kind of spent. My thing with Bryce Young and why I say that is the athleticism. Okay, because there are guys that come into the league and we jump on them too quickly and we don't give them time to develop. You know, we forget some guys that didn't have good rookie seasons. Joe Burrow did not look good in his rookie season, ended up getting hurt, not playing a full season, and now we know how good he is. Josh Allen didn't look great in his rookie year. Lamar didn't look great in his rookie year. But at least you saw some flashes out of those guys. We've seen nothing out of Bryce Young, and the athleticism, to me, I just don't think he's athletic enough to play in the NFL to compensate for his size and for some of his deficiencies. I mean, his escapability in the pocket has been underwhelming. I mean, it's been average. And the comp for him, what you hoped he would be as that number 1 pick, is like a Russell Wilson. You know, they're similar in frame, they're kind of similar in play style, and you're hoping that he would end up being a guy like that. But when you're like, uh-oh, this isn't Russell Wilson, this isn't Tyrod Taylor,
Yeah.
this is bad. And that's where I think he's heading, unfortunately.
And, you know, they have okay weapons over there. I read the offensive line hasn't been as bad. So you look at all these factors and then you're like, oh, Canales kind of has to make this move for the team. Yeah, it's important that they develop the quarterback, but you also need to like put a decent prospect, what's the word I'm looking for? Product on the field. And they're not doing that, especially when other phases of the game are doing a good job. Now, I don't know how much influence David Tepper had on this, and if he did, oh my God. But he still, right now at this moment, is probably the worst owner in all of sports. What an absolute bleep show over there with the Carolina Panthers and their owner. So just a terrible situation, and we'll see. I mean, it is
Mike,
awful because it's the worst trade, arguably, in league history.
It's not what you want.
Not what you want.
Not what you want.
As
I gotta
Joe
say,
Judge
bro,
would say.
didn't you know, I complimented you off the show. Your boy, your barber, you got it. One of the best.
He hooked it up. Really?
The lineup, like, I'm not even talking about the fade. The lineup,
the lineup's
square.
good.
I don't know if he used a protractor or what he did. It's nice, bro. Crispy.
Yeah, he did a good job. He did, and you're right, because like it's really like it's like bald right here. He had to go deep with the razor. It was impressive.
He had to go deep.
Yeah, it was It was impressive. Wow. All right, JM.
What up,
round
bro?
of applause to Saquon Barkley.
No.
What a good job by Saquon Barkley the other day.
Oh, you weirdo Giants fans.
Getting that first down and getting his first win in Philadelphia in his career. Honestly, a great job by him. Congratulations.
Is that what happened, Michael? Is that what happened?
No, he actually dropped it. They didn't get the first down. And then their Swiss cheese defense, like Kirk Cousins and Darnell Mooney, go right down the field and lose the game. They have issues. But we'll start here. Saquon Barkley, loser.
Over the top, embarrassing. Stop it.
He's a loser. He is a loser.
Dude, they have problems. They have legitimate problems. I don't want to segue into the overreaction segment, but like one of the big concerns I had of the Eagles going into this year was that secondary. And wow. And that's not just my concern. Everybody's concerned about them was that secondary. Holy crap. Did that secondary look real nice on that last drive? I mean, on the Manning cast, they're talking about all of a sudden there's on that 2-minute drill, Peyton Manning's like, if I'm Atlanta, I want to drain some clock here. How do you go from, it's a minute and a half left, we only got 2 timeouts, we're in our own 30-yard line, to, hey, should we drain some clock before we score this game-winning touchdown? It's ludicrous. It took them like 4 plays to get in the end zone.
Yeah, it was remarkable. They are, and I want to switch this to the offensive side for a second. I want to talk about like what they looked like in 2022. And my NFL Plus account is locked right now because of the issue I have my credit card. So I hope to get that back tomorrow. But I want to go back and watch them in 22. Okay. And then I want to watch them from last season and this year. I don't know if this is true or not, but it almost looks like on offense, they're playing a little too loose at the moment. Is that like a crazy thing to say? Like they just don't look. It's the same thing that we kind of couldn't pinpoint last season. It's like they don't look right still offensively.
Right. Well, this team was built on just being a old school ground and pound. We don't care if we're going to run it. We're going to run the ball and we're going to do it efficiently. And that's the way this offense is built. And they kind of seem to like scare away from the run for no reason at some points and try to get too fancy and like, they play too loose. They go off script and it's like, guys, You don't need to make it this complicated. You can just run the ball down the field and play within structure and let Jalen Hurts, play like Jalen Hurts, and you don't need all this crazy stuff going on offense. But they decide to stray away from it, bro. And I'm out on them, Mike. I gotta say, bro, I'm all out on the Birds, bro. I'm not feeling it. And listen, yesterday when this airs Monday was, if that's not Atlanta, if that's like Detroit or San Fran or somebody like that, they are giving up 40 points. That just came down to Atlanta not being able to execute in the red zone. I mean, Bijan Robinson seemed like he could have ripped off 200 yards at one point yesterday, and Atlanta just couldn't seem to get in a rhythm offensively or capitalize in the red zone, and they only end up scoring 22 points. But if they played a really good offense, they would have gotten absolutely embarrassed.
And look at the defensive line. Like, Bryce Huff stinks, right? Bryce Huff stinks. Maybe the Jets and the Eagles can work out a trade to send them back, really. Send Reddick there and Huff back to the Jets. Jordan Davis, I mean, they're talking about Jordan Davis in Philadelphia right now as a wasted draft pick.
Yeah.
Jalen Carter, I mean, there's not much Jalen Carter can do.
Can we talk about this Jalen Carter thing? So you have the audacity, okay, to draft this kid after whatever went on in that little, car accident scenario. And I know
he killed somebody. He's a murderer.
I know. Well, okay, that's insane. That's not what happened. Okay. But you do that, no problem, right? Spend a first round pick on you. The kid shows up late to a team event, whatever the hell that means, whether it's a meeting or a freaking, Nick Sirianni, Big Dom Diddy party in the locker room, whatever the hell it was. And you have the audacity to bench this guy for a game. Like, what are we doing? Genuinely, what are we doing?
Well, he can't speed.
Being a tool and trying to
he can't speed down the block. Next time they catch him speeding, doing 50 and a 30, he's arrested. That's it. He's done.
All those Georgia players, it's like in their DNA. I don't know.
Those memes are great. Those memes. I saw a meme last week. Thank God Georgia's playing in Kentucky this week. I could walk around the streets of Georgia State like something like that.
But dude, he's a joke. Sirianni is a joke.
It's bad.
Big
it's really
Dom
bad.
is a joke. That whole thing, I don't know if you saw that video. He was so obviously trying to get behind Sirianni and he was getting interviewed. Like the corniest thing I've ever seen. It's the Philly, they are going to freak. This team is going to go downhill. I'm telling you. And
they're already out on Sirianni, though.
This city is going to freak out, bro.
Because the city sides with Hurts here.
Yeah.
And Jalen didn't want him back. Like they had a serious beef. And I don't think they wanted him back. I don't think he wanted him back. He's back. They're going to fire Sirianni. If this goes downhill, Sirianni will be gone right away. And by the way, again, that Monday night broadcast, I was flipping back and forth between them and the Mets most of the night until the Met game was over. But what a joke of a broadcast. That was the Eagles broadcast last night, essentially.
It was.
Yeah, Kelsey on. It's all about Kelsey's homecoming. Who cares that Kelsey is on ESPN Monday Night Countdown back in Philadelphia? You completely took away from what the night actually was, which was honoring Nick Foles.
Yeah.
They honored Nick Foles the other day on Monday night. So you completely took away from that because it's Kelsey's homecoming on ABC. Come on.
Dude, I got to tell you, bro, I know you love you some Eli. He's brutal, I think, on that broadcast. Peyton Manning's out there talking about, all football things. And then they're in this formation. Oh, you got to check out of this, go this and that. And Eli's just sitting there and he's literally like this. Peyton, what are you seeing there?
Well, come on, Eli. All Eli knew was the slants to Odell and the throw up.
Yeah. No, I don't doubt that he's a smart quarterback. Like, I don't think that's the case. I just think on a broadcast, like, he's not really meant to.
I think
Eli's got that dry personality and like that. Like, he's funny because he is dry. He's kind of awkward, and then he says something, and you're like, that was hilarious.
I think that's what his role is. I think Peyton's like the guru.
Yeah, but
I know you'd expect him to do it, but.
Kind of brutal when he's just sitting there with his mouth open. And
it's also brutal that they're on this delay. Because I can't watch because they're on this delay.
I've never watched it like ever, really,
Right.
besides seeing clips of it or flipping through it real quick. But
No, I won't watch it because of the delay, because it's like 2 seconds of like awkward silence.
Yeah.
Like they have to do this. Come on, you can't get to. I know they both have families. We can't get together.
Are we done with the ugly? Because I really want to talk about this overreaction.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the overreaction right now. But yeah, it's not good. Not good over there in Philadelphia.
You say your overreaction, because I'll let you go, because I think it was in your mind first. So go.
It was in my mind when I was driving delivering today.
Okay.
The NFC East winner will not have more than 10 wins, and they will not go far in the playoffs to be first round exit.
Okay. So yeah, I was right.
Yours.
Yep. I was going to say there exactly. That was literally going to be mine. I mean, I wasn't going to say the playoff. That I wouldn't argue that the playoff round thing, but I was going to say 10 wins at the max would be the winner.
Yeah, so the NFC East winner, that's my overreaction, will not have more than 10 wins. There'll be a first round exit in the playoffs, and it's obviously going to be between Dallas and Philadelphia. But you look at the defenses from this past week. You look at the inefficiency on offense as well, with the lack of weapons with Dallas, and obviously just something missing there in Philadelphia. And obviously that secondary is brutal with Philadelphia right now. But it's serious problems. And then I think head coaching issues as well with both of those teams. You have a lame duck head coach with Mike McCarthy, and Nick Sirianni is not trusted by his quarterback and other guys in that locker room. They were already considering firing him in the offseason. I think there's no doubt that Bill Belichick will be the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Wow. Holy crap. Really?
Yeah, I think that's where he goes.
I gotta say, I kind of feel like he's done.
No, I think he's going to coach again.
You don't think he's liking this whole little broadcasting experience? He's got.
I think he does.
Saban's got his thing going. They're both kind of chilling right now.
I don't think Belichick. I think Belichick's going back for the record, for Shula's record. So I think Belichick's going to go to it. I don't think he necessarily has to go back, but I think if the Philadelphia job opened, that's a place where you could probably step in, and if you do the right things, you can win early, have a chance at a Super Bowl early. I think the perfect spot like Philadelphia opens up and they're interested, he goes. But yeah, I think he is becoming this media mogul here a little bit, and it's working. I think he's going to be really good. I do.
Okay. Mike, I gotta say, bro, I mean, you kind of stole my thunder with the.
I'm sorry.
With the overreactions. I don't got.
Listen, maybe the Giants have a chance too. 1 game back here. Maybe the Giants got a chance.
I don't know, bro. Like at this point, I don't know who the hell's gonna win it. I would still stick with Dallas. That was what I thought was gonna happen. But I mean, I thought Dallas was gonna kind of surprise some people and be like a clear winner.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody. Yeah, I agree, dude. I think even 9-8. I might even go to say 9-8 is going to win the division.
It could be.
They might be the new NFC South this year.
Yep.
I mean, Washington looks like crap too. That game must have been
Washington's defense is bad.
For you.
Yeah, it's bad. Not good.
That secondary is terrible. They gotta figure something out with Jaden Daniels before they get him killed. Okay, he's lucky he didn't break a rib in that game, because this kid's gonna get hurt. He needs to go down more. They need to come up with some other way to move the ball without him running around constantly and creating. And that can't be a way to rely on to score some points. Jaden Daniels running for his life and getting.
They were also Giants hitting him hard too. It was almost like I'm shocked we're not getting a penalty here. Giants were popping them too.
Yeah.
All right, Mike, what's the overreaction?
What's the overreaction?
The Falcons are going to still win 12 games.
I don't know, bro. I mean, we didn't talk about the Bucks. Another team I feel like I was dead wrong on. I kept talking about Baker Mayfield, 99th percentile season. Maybe that wasn't. And I thought about it more, and I'm kind of mad at myself for saying it now, because it kind of goes against the points that I was talking about before with quarterbacks, where you put them in the right situation and they could do good things. I mean, the loss of Canales scared me, and we're not big Todd Bowles guys, but Baker really seems to have found his home there, and I mean, they're gonna be right back in it for the NFC South.
Yeah, it's impressive what they were able to do last week, especially defensively with all those injuries they had. I'll push back. I'll still take Atlanta. That's one thing I'll hold out on, but Baker's been impressive. And I think, he's like turning into the player we kind of discussed. You know, with Geno's played well. And, you know, I think just like this career resurgence here, he's a career resurgent guy that, you know, could be the quarterback there for the next 5-6 years, 100%. It's not crazy. So good for Baker. It's impressive, but yeah, you know, it's great.
So, oh man, I really don't want to get crazy here, Mike, but I feel like I do. Okay.
Go.
So my overreaction. So this was like my backup because I was like, I don't want to get too crazy, but I'm going to get too crazy. My overreaction is the Baltimore Ravens are going to finish last in the AFC North. That is my overreaction. Okay. Look at this. There is a legitimate chance that this team starts the season 0-5. Okay. They play Dallas on the road this upcoming Sunday, America's game of the week, 4:25 p.m. Right? Then they come home next week. They play Buffalo at home on Sunday Night Football, and then the next week they go to Cincinnati and play the Bengals. That is a legitimate chance to be 0-5. They'll win one of those games. Okay, 1-4.
I think they're winning this week.
I don't know, bro.
That is wild. That would be absolutely crazy.
Because, okay, I'll explain my logic here. The Steelers, there's not a ton of logic when it comes to overreactions, but
yeah,
the Steelers, right? They're just going to, we give up. Okay. Tomlin, congrats. Your streak's going to keep going. I mean, their schedule in the second half.
I'm not there yet.
Brutal second half schedule. So who knows? But they're always going to be that annoying team. They'll probably win 9 games somehow, whatever. The Browns, I mean, you know, who knows what's going to happen with them? They looked pretty good. That defense is going to keep them in a ton of games. And I'm still a big believer in the Bengals. So, Mike, things could go the wrong way for this Baltimore team. So I really, I just don't like this offense at all. I am very concerned about their offense.
Mm-hmm. You're usually a big believer in Lamar and the Ravens, though. Yeah. This is really shocking.
Yeah.
You love Lamar. All right, Mike. That is bold, man. That is the definition of overreaction. So
take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, it's having fun. We're having fun. I said the Bengals were going to miss the playoffs last week. I also said the Rams. I'm getting out of this. I was actually impressed with the Rams against the Lions. And I still think they're going to win the division even with the week 1 loss. And thank God I'm going to get a mulligan here because of how banged up they are.
Right.
Really good for me there. That's huge for the self-esteem. But yeah, crazy. All right, we'll do a quick look ahead before we get out of here for next week. Chargers, Steelers, very interesting because I want to bring this up. Are the Chargers legit? Is this a legitimate team? Good defense, great offensive line, really good running game. They have the quarterback. I don't know if they have the weapons, although the quarterback hasn't played well yet. They have the quarterback.
I mean, J.K. Dobbins is one of the crazy stories of the NFL right now. I mean, the fact this guy's on competing for a rushing title 2 games in, and he was, Mr. I can't stay on the field. So great for him. And he's really become the clear lead back. Gus Edwards hasn't done anything. I mean, cakewalk schedule to start. Las Vegas, cool. They just had a nice win against Baltimore, but welcome to the NFL. Any team could beat any team on any day unless you're the Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
But we'll see, Mike. I think as the season goes on, I think they're still going to end up. They'll be a little bit better than maybe we expected. Maybe they will, be in the hunt towards the end of the year. But
they might be able to sneak in, it looks like.
Maybe. I mean, the Dolphins, they just put Tua on IR. The Dolphins look like they're going to start dwindling. The AFC South looks weaker than we thought. The jury's still out on the Jets. Jury's still out on a couple other teams. We'll see, bro. I mean, they definitely.
Oh yeah. By the way, how about those?
All of a sudden looks kind of weak.
How about those Bills, though?
Yeah, we'll see.
Feel good.
One more week. I need one more week on them.
Feeling really good about that.
What do they got this week?
The Jags.
Oh.
But you have a desperate spot for the Jags here. It's a desperation spot for Jacksonville.
definitely is.
So it's
But
not a
what's
spot you want to play them in, I think.
Bills, Jags? What's that line got to be? What do we think, Mike?
Guess. I know. Oh, you want me
Oh,
to
you
guess? I
know.
know. Yeah, I know. 5.5.
Can I get details on the game?
I just said it.
What?
Did you not hear me say the
I
line?
didn't hear it. No.
Oh, perfect. In Buffalo, Monday night, one of the doubleheaders Monday night.
Oh, it's a doubleheader. Okay.
Yeah, the other great doubleheader, commies
In
Bengals.
Buffalo.
We'll see if you get it. The viewers know. I said it.
I'm gonna say 4.5.
5.5 Buffalo Bills.
5.5. Nice. Nice.
So, a little bit interesting. You think the Giants? What?
Kind of like the Jags.
I would take the Jags at a desperation spot here.
Kind of like the Jags in that spot. Prime time spreads. Prime time underdogs to cover.
No, I think I would take the Jags here.
How are the primetime underdogs so far? The Bears just got a backdoor cover.
Yeah. Monday night that hit.
Yep.
Sunday night it didn't. Last Sunday night it did not.
Nope.
Last Monday night it
Monday night did not.
Thursday
night
it did not.
Did not. The Bills were favored. I mean, the Bills were underdogs going into Miami, so it did hit.
So I think it's like 3-3.
Okay.
All the favorites in the
Take Jacksonville. I mean, we'll talk about it on the betting show. How about that?
Yeah, we'll talk about it on the gambling show. Maybe Jacksonville will be one of the 3. All right, Mike, time to get out of here. Great episode. Make sure you guys are following us on all our social media accounts, liking and subscribing. I haven't done a little housekeeping in a while. Liking and subscribing on YouTube, and rating us and liking us and downloading us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We always appreciate the support and the comments on the social media accounts and the YouTube. So definitely stick with that. We'll talk to you later on the gambling show. We'll give you updates on the records and where we stand with the Stars and our week 3 picks. Very excited for that. We came close on our touchdown parlay, I think. So we'll see if we can get one this week.
Damn, Cooper Kupp got hurt.
Yeah. All right. We'll talk to you guys next week, later in the week.